Well, good morning, everybody. Hope you had a wonderful Christmas, and now you're ready for whatever the rest of this year and the new year holds. Used to be a fella here in our city who spent some time on television and radio as well. He called the whole month of December National Goof Off Month. It doesn't matter. He said it doesn't matter who you ask or who you call. You call them and ask them for something. They say, "Get back to me after first of the year." And I don't know if the whole month is a goof off month, but this particular week, from Christmas to New Year's, I know there's probably not a whole lot of anything gets accomplished in most places. But we're going to accomplish something this morning. We're going to take a few minutes and look at Genesis chapter 11 and a very familiar story, the story of the Tower of Babel. One of my favorite stories. I don't know why. I just always have enjoyed reading this story and seeing how things play out. And so this one, let me take just a minute and do something that really I've never done before, and that was consider some of the background of what led up to this. Verse 1 tells us the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And so it gives us kind of the setting of this building here of the great city of Babylon, and then the Tower of Babel. This would have taken place, most likely it appears from the pieces we can put together, that it happened during the reigns of Peleg and Nimrod. You've probably maybe not heard of Peleg, but at least Nimrod you've probably heard of. And this would have been about 5 generations since Noah. And so some time has passed, and now Nimrod has set out to build this city. Just to speculate on kind of how we arrive here, the flood ends. Noah and all his family come off the ark, and they settle down somewhere around Ararat, where the ark had landed. Now, over 5 generations, they have multiplied, they have grown, and difficult to imagine or to exactly know how big they had become. All types of estimates have been given, from, again, lower end to say 30,000 or so on up to 6 digits of how many people would have been on Earth by now. And so again, as these people began to grow and probably began to set up little individual, we'll call them kingdoms, Nimrod comes along, and he decides to rebel and decides to kind of take over all of this and to make it his kingdom, to put himself in charge. It's kind of like all of the kind of sci-fi movies that we watch. On sci-fi is not the right type, where the one bad guy wants to rule the world, and that's kind of what we see here with Nimrod. And then for some reason he decides that he wants to move away from Ararat to the east. It says that came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they move. And again, a lot of different reasons. Again, we don't know. Maybe that, and most likely the thing that would make the most sense would have been typical in that time, even really up to this time, would have been a whole lot of it would have been an agricultural decision. That the land in the plain of Shinar would have been better place to live, maybe better climate, better environmental situations, and maybe just more room. Maybe he just wanted to spread out and take over some new territory. So anyway, he is just spreading out, taking over a lot of places. And if you back up in Genesis, remember what we talked about there in chapter 10, where it says that Nimrod began to be mighty on the earth. And so he was the authority. And so he goes out and Nimrod is the founder of the city of Babylon that we read about throughout the Old Testament. And that's kind of the background of what goes on. Then there are a couple other things going on here, that they were, because of their shared heritage, they are of one language and one speech. They all trace their roots at this point back to Noah and his children, their little family that had came through the flood. And so again, there's one language and one speech. They thought the same. What was that old TV show years ago? They walked alike, they talked alike. They're two of a kind. They're cousins, identical cousins. I don't remember the show. I remember the song. And so they had this language. They were able to communicate. They shared. They worked together. They helped each other. They played together. Again, same thing that happens anywhere where a group of people share a language. And so they began to advance. They began to move forward. And so when they moved, the whole group moved. And they come to the place where they decide in verse 3 that we want to build a tower. They would have been somewhere in what we know today as Iraq. And they settle down, they make this new society and start building this new city. And they decide, let's build a city, let's build a tower in this city that will reach up into heaven. And then they say those magic words, let us make us a name, let us make us a name. You see a lot of sentences like that in the Bible when people get in trouble. Let us make us a name, because we don't want to be scattered. We want to be powerful. We want to be in control. We want to be in charge here of what's going on. We want to be powerful. We want to be rulers. We don't want to take any chance of anybody messing up what we have got accomplished so far, what we have done. We don't want to risk that. And so they decide we're going to build this big tower. We're going to build this, and then they say again, not only that not only do we want to be able to let us make us a name. They say that we want to do that, and we're going to ascend up. And then the funny thing in all this story to me, and this may be why it's always caught my attention, is the Bible says they're building this big tower to get up into the heavens, and as they're building it, God said, let us go down. Let's go down and see it. You know, they've built it as high as they can. Let's go down and see what they have done. Let's go down and see what's going on with our creatures. And they go down and they look at it, and the answer to it is God says, well, let's confound, let's mix up their language so that they can't have this cooperation, so we can stop the work here when they can't communicate with each other. And so he confuses, mix up their language, gives them different languages, and when he does, then that brings to a screeching halt to their plans of building this big tower. And as I look at that story, again, I'm just reminded of, once again, we see the consequences of sin, the danger of man's his arrogance, his rebellion against God. And ultimately, when we see this, this is what always happens with sin, is man gets to the point where he thinks he's as good as God, where he doesn't need God any longer. And I can do this on my own. I can make it. I can build this tower. I don't need to have God to help me do this. They were building here a city, a tower. They were doing everything they were doing minus God. And that doesn't sound like our society today. And just leave you with that thought as we look at this. Again, what they were doing was they were trying to set up their city, their life, their tower, their homes, their nation, everything. They were setting it up and leaving God out of it. They were just kicking God right to the curb. How many times do we do that in our life? I can do this on my own. I can make this. I can make it without Him. I can do it on my own. And just like these people, every time we try that, we end up confounded. Think about it. You have a good day. We'll see you here tomorrow morning.